Welcome to Clear Vision Wednesday. I am Claudia Mühlenweg. I'm the host of this live vodcast on YouTube and the founder of the Natural Clear Vision Institute. We go live every week to share all kinds of things about natural vision improvement, like all the things that affect your vision, how you can make sure that you have great eyesight and great vision all throughout your life. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can always make improvements. Make sure to subscribe, click the little bell icon so that you get notified when we go live every Wednesday at noon Pacific time. So today we have a very special topic that is super dear to my heart for so many reasons. And we had her on the show before. First of all, I want to bring her on right now. Welcome, Orit, to the Back to Clear Vision Wednesday.
Hi, thank you, Claudia. Thank you for having me again. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so Orit, you are based in Spain, right? You just flew in from the US. So we had you on to talk about two to important topics. Our topic today is children's vision and specifically binocular vision. But I want to point out you wrote this really amazing book. I would everybody that has a child, a niece, a nephew, or grandkids or whatever with vision problems, like this is a great book to get that is really written for children with beautiful illustrations. But we also know that adults have been using it a lot, right? For their own. So, but then you
Yeah,
also
a lot
wrote
of
this
a lot of
book.
children at heart are using it just because it really sums up most of the things that you need to know in order to improve your eyesight playfully. It's just like a summary of what we teach in natural vision improvement.
Exactly. And then you wrote this wonderful book for parents because children cannot improve their vision without the parents. So the parents, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more today. So this book is called Play Your Way to Better Eyesight, which already hints on some of the approaches. It's exercise versus play. And obviously you have tell everybody really quickly your own background story because you had really high level of myopia and completely reversed that, correct?
Right. I had -8.5 diopter myopia. I did not completely reverse it. I still have some of it sometimes, but I do not use glasses for anything. I don't even own a pair. So yeah, I've come to the point where I'm totally free of glasses. So from total dependence to total freedom. That's
That
how
is
I like to
amazing.
think about it.
And I've seen you and other people live, and we see like if somebody is really still on your side, they're still doing this. And I see you, you're not going like, oh, here, I'm at the computer.
Yeah,
So
let me smell it.
yeah, your vision is definitely really good. But today's topic is really dear to my heart. And because I was farsighted as a child, got my first pair of glasses at the age of 3 years old, and I had a convergent squint. And I was always the clumsy kid, like bumping into things and like not being able to catch a ball or throw a ball. I always had these, I didn't know back then, and my parents didn't really understand this either, but I had problems with depth perception because my two eyes didn't work together. And now you wrote this wonderful book together with Fernanda, I can never remember her full name,
Leite
Light
Ribeiro.
Rivero,
Yes.
behavioral optometrist. And you wrote this book, I See Clearly with Two Eyes, which is a wonderful children's book that is fantastic for any child that has right strabismus, amblyopia, double vision, all these kind of problems related to how the two eyes see together. So,
Mhm.
um, so a common approach to these kind of problems is patching, eye patching, where actually have a good friend in Germany, and I haven't seen them in a while, but her younger son had what's called lazy eye, and I remember him running around all day with a patch on the good eye, so that the
The
lazy eye can
good eye. So the
fix.
bad eye
Yeah.
does some of the work. So
So
that's
tell us.
already like so contrary to our approach because there is no bad eye. The eye that is not able to collaborate with the other one that turns away or that turns in or that doesn't see so well is an eye that needs help. It doesn't need to like have extra chores and be treated like it's lazy, bad. It needs to be integrated in the vision, not to be singled out as like some bad component that needs fixing. So should I talk a little bit about eye patching? I think that's a great topic.
I think that's a great topic, but I think generally what you just said is like this idea that we call one eye the bad eye, and also that we feel like it needs to exercise more to
Right.
see better, right? So tell us a little bit about that, like common belief and why you don't think that's the right approach. And also like, yeah, patching. What do you recommend patching? Is it something you would never do? Or how would you use patching if you use it?
There's three things here that I want to talk about, so I don't know in which way to go
Go
because
ahead.
also this is such a rich topic. This is so interesting because when we think about the bad eye, the lazy eye, when we speak about it emotionally, when we go to the emotions behind the eyesight, we find out that this is in a way a part of ourselves that we exclude. So there's a whole emotional approach to how we need to integrate the eyes, but that's not so much in this book. So I will stay with the more practical, playful things. Um, but I just wanted to mention that the bad eyes, like our part that we don't love, like the part of me that I'm ashamed of. That's like too sensitive. Not me, right? So you kind of like exclude it, and then it goes away, or it turns in, or it just like doesn't see. So patching is really useful. It's a very useful practice, but it has to be done thoughtfully. The way that medical doctors often recommend patching, as in like patch the good eye, let him or let her use the bad eye all day long, leads to not better results in terms of eyesight and in terms of integration of both eyes, but it does lead to a lot of bullying at school. It leads to a person um, having a very bad time because they have this one eye that sees better and they can't use it now. And now they have to use this other eye that doesn't see so well. They're made fun of. They're much clumsier even. And so it's like this whole, and then they have to like go to school and learn how to read and write. So I have this part, I dedicated like a little part in my book just to this, to the idea of all day long patching. And because the book is I mean, we're going to talk about parents, but parents are so important for improving children's eyesight. You cannot say, okay, go and do it. Parents are part of the solution. They have to be. They have to be there, and they have to, in a way, surround the process with like their loving care. It's not something that you just exercise and it goes away. It does have to do, as I said before, with the emotions. So you have to be included in your family the same way you want to include both eyes in the process of vision, right? So the parents are super important. Parents don't like send the child off with a patch to like fend for themselves at school. So the all-day patching um, creates all this discomfort, bullying, and all this like bad times that children pass. And when you talk with adults that were patched as children, they remember this. They're always like, "Oh, I hated it so much. It was so painful for me. I was made fun of all the time. I couldn't see well, and I felt very bad." And so I suggest, just like I don't really think parents are going to do it, but at least think about it. So I'm like, okay, you're going to send your child off to school or to wherever to fend for themselves. Now imagine you should patch your own better eye or just even one of your eyes, and then, go outside, walk around, see how people look at you, and, go do your job with just one eye, and you'll see how uncomfortable it is. Go learn how to socialize and how to read and write with that. So you're really putting your child at a disadvantage without any evidence that all-day patching is more effective than short periods of conscious patching, of patching done thoughtfully, done in the company of your whole family. For instance, we suggest that when you patch a child, everybody patches. We're playing. It's like, woo, we're all pirates. Let's go play some, toss the ball. Everybody has this disadvantage. So, okay, maybe the child who has the bad eye has more of a disadvantage, but at least they're part of the family everybody's patching and we're all playing. So it doesn't exclude one member. It includes. And really, when you talk about binocularity, it's all about inclusion. Because what happens when one eye is not participating is that the brain is listening only on one channel. It's only listening to one eye. So it's like this one eye is excluded. And we're not trying to get the bad eye to be the good eye. What we're trying to do is to have everyone play together, the brain with the two eyes. So we're not interested in patching so the bad eye will have, as good a vision as the good eye. What we want to do is patch to wake it up, to like stimulate this eye, to invite it to play, and then we want to invite it to play together,
That makes
together
so
with the other eye and the brain.
That makes so much sense because at the end of the day, like I just recently had an eye test and it's like you bought this eye and then that eye. But I'm like, at the end of the day, we can check the eyesight in each eye for sure, just like we can check hearing in one ear versus the other. But at the end of the day, they work together, right? And as you were talking about patching, I never got patched, thankfully. I was already bullied without that. But also, I mean, here's the thing, what I'm thinking right now is that when your good eye gets patched and you see with a blurry vision, like we know you and I work with relaxation a lot, right? We know when the world is blurry, try to run around without your glasses. Everybody like who listens, try running around without your glasses, and let's say it's really blurry, you don't feel safe. So now
No.
you don't feel safe. Now you get bullied. You actually don't have depth perception with one eye by itself. So of course, you're clumsy. Like you're running into things. You can't catch the ball. You get hit in the head. I've done that without the patch even, but it's like you're basically making it so much harder. Creating this huge handicap. So I fully agree with that, and it actually puts the kids in an under level of stress, I would assume, that makes their vision actually worse.
It does, and it does not work better than patching just for short periods of time in a way that's well thought out, well planned out, and more than anything, in a way that's surrounded by love and care. So you're sending off this child to fend for themselves, which I don't know why the child has to be in like a defensive mode. And they're like, okay, they'll be okay. Just go. And I remember a couple came to me with their 2.5-year-old amazing child, so cute, so funny. And they were like, since she could use her hand, she takes off the patch. And I'm like, of course she does. Why wouldn't she? That's such a normal behavior. You're blocking her good vision. She's gonna take it off if she can. And they were like, oh, so we shouldn't punish her? And I was like, what are you
Oh,
punishing
wow.
the 2-year-old for? The 2.5-year-old for? How can she understand what you want when you're like doing something that's clearly against her and then sending her off? So if you want to patch a child from a very young age, you should be there, super present, and make this into the best time of the day. Make this into the moment of connection with the parents. Make this into the moment they remember as the sweetest. They're like, yeah, I was there. My mother was covering my eye. My father was covering my eye. And we were playing and we were together. They were super present with me. And that's an invitation for the eye that's not collaborating to come and be part of the family. The other thing is just an invitation for it to be even more rejected in a way.
I love that so much, though. It's really a coming together, being present, because long time, I used to work with children. And a lot of times the parents just want to drop the child off and here's your session. And then the kids share all these emotional things and you kind of try to relate to the parents, this and this and this isn't really. And then I know I was a single mom, so I never blamed the parents in a way because I had two children by myself. It was really hard, just, on all the levels, financially, all the physically, all the things, working whilst providing for them. It was really hard. So, but at the same time, I'm like, it's that listening to like really like why are these things happening? Well, the doctor said so. And one thing that you also said is like the play, right? Making it like a whole family affair, making it playful versus this idea of exercises that you have to do. So you don't recommend exercises for kids either, right? Can you tell us a little bit about this playful approach, maybe beyond patching, like, that you maybe outlined in this book, which is for children to read, but I guess adults would also read it, but any kind of things that you also recommend when somebody comes to you, maybe that child has a squint, maybe they don't have lazy eye, but they have a squint where one eye or both eyes either constant, like always in the nose or outside wall-eyed or intermittently. But what is the first thing you would tell the parents, like how to approach this?
I want to say something about play in general because
Okay.
play is for me the way also that I work with adults when they come with their own vision problems. And play is really no different than anything else. It's just a way that you frame in your mind what you're doing. So if you're doing something for an external reason, and you're not interested in what you're doing, you're just like waiting for the result, you're working or you're doing an exercise. But if you're present, as I said before, in the exercise itself or in the practice itself, you're curious about what's happening or you're engaged, then you're playing. You're playing when you're not thinking about what rewards I will get for doing this. So when you can be doing the exact same thing. You can be jumping from one letter to another on the eye chart, and you can be curious about how the world moves around you, and you're playing. And you can be doing that and just be like, oh, how many minutes have gone by? How many times do I still have to do this? And you're doing an exercise. So it's really not so different in terms of what the activity is, but it's different in terms of how you frame it. And when you're doing something with your family, everybody's participating and you're having fun with it. And part of it is the joy of being together, then it's a game. But if you're told you need to do this, you're left with it and it's a chore, and you're like, okay, you don't get whatever until you do this, then you're working or you're doing an exercise. So it's really not so much about the practice itself because the practices are very similar. But it's just like with patching, it just changes the way you think about it and the way you frame it. It's not the patch is the same patch. You can get the exact same patch and use it, and you can do the exact same practices if you want. Um, but it has to be in a different way. You have to find what's interesting for the child in it, what they like to do, what's good, what's like, fun about it. So if you want to toss balls, you can start very easy. You can see how it goes, and there's a little bit of frustration. Well, you can be there to encourage them and not let it become a chore, not be demanding, not be like, oh, this is not going well, you're not doing it well. Just really be with them and make it as light as possible. You can, toss a ball at something, like you can put a doll and try to knock it out. And that's, most children like that. So, but you find the thing, it's built for me around not exercises or practices, but around principles and people. So you need to know a little bit the principles of what you're trying to do, and that's why you need a vision educator to help you or a book. And then the person who's doing it. So maybe they're into boats. Maybe they like ducks. Maybe they like stars. Maybe they like fairies. Whatever they like, whatever's interesting for them, it can be in the exercise. It can be in the practice. It can be in the game. Mm, the parents themselves are something that the children usually like and are very much interested in having their attention. So you use that, but not like use in like a bad way, but
Yeah.
you know, you are something. You're a big prize. As you said, parents have very little time. So this time that you can have with your children is precious to the children. They're like, yeah, mom's with me now. So take this time and you can have it be good for also for the eyesight by taking advantage of this. But it's not like do the exercise while I do something else. That
Right.
doesn't usually work.
I love that so much. I teach something similar. Like once you understand the principles of what we're trying to do, then you can find thousands, millions of different ways of doing it. So I think that's an important piece that you just talked about that kind of want to make sure to point that out because then you have to do it in a way that engages them. And that's same with adults, right? Like what's interesting, what's a way of doing this that's fun? Sometimes the color is the thing or whatever it is. Or, if they like, I had kids also do the palming and had them share with me, like, what are you imagining? And then this little boy said, oh, I'm an eagle and I'm flying all over the world. And I see like, so I'm like, oh, great, great. So he was really into birds and animals, and some other kid might be into dinosaurs, like you said, or fairies or rocket ships or whatever. But we have to utilize that interest. And I think an important piece that you said too is that like we can't really force the child to want something that we want. So, can you tell a little bit about, because what I was told when I did my teacher training, and I kind of found that to be true, that like there's an age where when they're teen, and I raised two girls on my own, and I remember teenagers, they don't want to hear a thing mom has to say. And I always have parents contacting me. I have a 13, 14, 15-year-old boy or girl, whatever, and they're nearsighted. Can you help them? And that first thing I always ask, does the child, do they actually want to get out of glasses? Is that something they're interested in? Because otherwise, why would they want to do something? So tell us a little bit about the ages of the children that you find respond best, or like is there an age where they're too young, like if they're like a 3-month-old baby or 6-month-old baby, or is there an age like where you think you haven't seen as much success? I'm just curious.
I just have to say, Claudia, that I write books, but I don't actually work with children. I
Okay,
work with children very little, mostly because I find parents very complicated to work with.
I
Um,
agree.
I work mostly with
But
adults,
what have you
and I
heard
do
from the
write
people
books
that,
for children.
yeah, the
Um,
feedback? What have you heard? Let's put it this way.
but yeah, I think when people call me and say that thing, the help my child, I usually say if they're over 12, then they have to be very interested themselves. And I also say to parents, if you want your child to get out of glasses, get out of glasses. So I tell the parents, if you do the process, your child will not only know it's possible, but will know how it can be done. And when they're ready, they will come to it. I think until 8 years old, more or less, then the children are very much like in the inside in a way, the parents, and they can come with the parents and play, and you can just bring them over, and you can kind of like, oh, look at that, and they'll play. But starting from like 11, 12, they're like, no, why am I doing this? No, I don't want to do this. I do want the glasses. I don't want the glasses. So they have their own mind, and they're working also on becoming their own person. So um, they're not going to follow parents blindly, although they do follow parents. And even at times when it seems like teenagers are not listening, teenagers are sponges. They're so listening. They're listening to everything you say. They're listening to everything and they absorb it, but they're just like not showing it because it's not cool. So
Yeah.
many times, many times you can have the teenager there, like facing, the wall or looking away from you, and you're teaching the parent, and the child will know everything that you taught, and they will repeat it if they find it interesting, if they find that you made sense, if they find that this is something that they want to do, they will do it. But they just have to seem cooler than you, so they're like, no, I'm not listening, but they're totally listening.
So yeah, thank you for that. So I think it's super important that the parents take ownership and kind of do the work, in a way for on themselves, but also really be fully present with a child instead of saying do these exercises. And I know a lot of times as a parent or even as somebody as an adult who wants to improve their vision, you want these kind of exact instructions, do 10 times this thing. And no, in vision therapy done by a behavioral optometrist, they have things like the pencil push-ups or the lifesavers. They call these different techniques for fusion and near far, and it's very mechanical. And I think children, I would have been bored out of my mind doing these exercises. And I also as a kid, I remember I never, like the second I left the house, I probably took the glasses off or whatever. So I think the rebellious children probably have better results because they don't.
I know. I just put them on. I was told, don't take your glasses off because if not, your vision will get worse. And I started
Yeah.
out with 125 in both eyes and I ended up with 8.5. I was that
Wow.
good.
Right?
I never took them off. I was
Yeah,
like, don't
I
take them
don't
off.
know. I don't remember when I was really little. There's also very few photos. I see me like posing in pictures all the time, and I always wore the glasses. But I think as I got older, like I was kind of more and more, and started playing sports. Actually, interesting enough, I started playing handball at age 12 and
Mm,
I was really bad. I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't throw or catch a ball. I was really horrible. But the team in that area of my hometown in Germany, we didn't have enough girls and they needed just enough bodies on the field, to be honest. And so I was more like the defender, kind of, I barely ever got the ball outside of training. But we played a lot and I couldn't wear my glasses because they were real glass and it was too dangerous because again, I got hit. So
right.
and then in hindsight, like I was still running around the field and I was trying to defend. Like I wasn't just not scoring goals or any of that stuff. But I think in hindsight, like the peripheral vision stimulation, the catching and throwing,
Mm.
not wearing the glasses, because 3 years into that, I was told my eyes are normal and I didn't need the glasses anymore. The
Oh, wow.
sunlight, right? The natural light. We played a lot outside the whole summer. In the winter, we were inside, but all of these things, like when I did used to work with children, we would do, like you pointed out, like a lot of the ball, maybe even rolling the ball on the floor, not even throwing
Mm,
it, but like
mm,
really, like if the eye was going in, stimulating the side of the eye. So you wanted to encourage it to go. So we would do very like fun games, domino cards, like big cards, like throw them out and then like who's the first one to find, but make it like non-competitive, right? So that I love your approach. I think these books should be in all pediatricians' offices, to be honest, and I think they should also be in all pediatric ophthalmologists and other offices, so that because the kids they might be naturally interested in reading about this. Have you found that to be true, or is it more the parents that buy the book? I mean, buy the books, but who buys these books? By any chance?
Well, kids see these books and really love them. They're really attracted to them, but not because they have eyesight problems. Kids just like them. Kids are just like, oh, this is such a beautiful book, and kids will ask for it, even if they have no vision problems. They're just, which for me is like the best recommendation because children who have no eyesight problems are like, oh, uh, I played all the games in the book. I loved it. It's just like, oh, okay. Oh
That
no,
is,
I just found it somewhere and they just find it. But that's true more for the first book, for I See Clearly.
yeah.
And the second book is kind of a combination children and parents because I feel that binocularity is really a very sensitive issue and you cannot do it without really the parents understanding what's going on.
Mhm.
So I think the first book I See Clearly is more like just like a party. There's like you just throw things around and you run
Right.
around, you do, jump around and you do things and there are like little explanations. But when you're going for trying to balance the eyes, there's really like a deeper I don't know, imbalance inside the person and inside the family that needs to be addressed carefully and carefully in the sense of with a lot of care. So I wrote this book more carefully and I was working with Fernanda who is an expert on binocularity and children and she's not only a behavioral optometrist but also a student of Mayer Schneider's of self-healing. So she combines these two things, but her way of thinking comes from natural vision. So she's all about playing, all about a gentle approach, seeing what the person is interested in, making it into something that feels good, and not so much into mechanical. Do 10 of these and you're good.
And I would also say success is because I remember, I mean, I was already an adult, had my own daughters. And I didn't really notice, like I could see the 3D, like if I go to an IMAX movie, I could see you put those glasses on and then
Mhm.
I saw the 3D. But when like I have this one, I remember, I don't know even where we were, but we were in some kind of museum and they have the gift shop, right? And this was like a science museum. And my daughters and my sister were like running around, like having these magic eye books and like, oh, look at this, mom, look how cool. And I could not see anything. And I was
Mm.
already an adult. And it's very, like you said, it makes you very vulnerable to like not see something that other people see, or you have the red green glasses, or these other things where you look through and you might not see that. I remember some of these Victorian things where you had like a stereogram, you had two images.
Right.
I couldn't do the diverging. I could not do that. And so, and I think you also pointed out there could be imbalances in the family. So I think a lot of these things are definitely more like I love that what you said, the careful approach, like being really gentle, being really present. And it's not really an eye issue, I would think. It's really more a whole body balance, brain integration. Like maybe you're also like lopsided in your body, or you're like the whole thing is not really fully developed. And maybe there's issues in the family, right, that kind of caused or like contribute to this imbalance in the eyes. So do you recommend
I
any?
want to just wait. I want to just stay with one thing that you said, which is about this being a brain imbalance. And this is really important because people often think of an eye that's going out or that's turning in as a muscular imbalance, and it is not. It is not a problem that's inherently in the muscles, which is what when you go and get your operation to like put the eye straight, they go and they shorten the muscle. But it's not a muscular problem. The eye is turning because the brain is not receiving information from it, or because the two images are too different, but it's something that has to do with processing. So it's not, in a way, a hardware problem, it's a software problem. And that's why it's so important to get this integration, this full body integration, brain and eyes integration, eyes and hands integration, and not think of it as like a technical thing that you can fix by just shortening a muscle. Because most of the times, these operations that put the eyes cosmetically straight are not actually fixing the problem itself and do not result in binocular vision. They don't result in this 3D vision and this stereoscopic vision. So it's really important to understand that this is a processing problem. It's the eye is turning because there's no attention on it. It's not turning because there's like first attention and then the brain phases it out. It's because the brain is like not listening on this eye that 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 this muscle like turns it away to like not have this noisy information.
Thank you for pointing that out. I That was actually a really good question because I sometimes see ophthalmologists, and those are usually surgeries done by ophthalmologists, talk about if you don't cut those muscles before the age of 3, the brain processing can't happen. But then I love the book by Susan Berry, Fixing My Gaze, who had the surgery at age 3. And she said in her book, if only the ophthalmology department and the behavioral optometry, the vision therapy, like working, like which is kind of a specialty of some optometry of like working, like it's more exercise based, but it really helps with the brain integration.
Mhm.
If they only talk, because now she had two cosmetically straight eyes, but they never worked together. So when she was
Mm.
driving, either that eye looked or that eye looked, which of course led to this, like things always jumping. So I think that's a very important piece. And everybody I met that had those surgeries, either as an adult or friends that had their children, like actually in my teacher training, one of my fellow students, his son already had 4 surgeries to correct the eyes. And I met a guy many years, maybe 10 years ago, who also had, I think it was this, he was really nearsighted and he had strabismus as well, like a squint. And so he had, I think, 4 surgeries already done. And he did the vision therapy afterwards, the eye exercises stuff. But then he eventually stopped doing it because, that's because it's boring and it's exercises.
Mm.
And then he had to do another surgery. So basically, right, when we don't address the root cause of why this is happening in the brain, the eyes will eventually go back to that, whatever, squint in or out, right? It's like
Right.
cutting the muscles is a really invasive surgery. and it's not fixing the actual problem. I fully agree. Yeah,
And most of the time, you're just cutting a muscle that there's no problem with it. There's no reason to cut it. I mean, sometimes when you combine these two approaches, maybe if the difference is too big, I
right.
have heard that sometimes the surgery can help. But if you're not doing any exercises, most of the time, even the doctors say they can't know how many surgeries they're going to have to do, and they're like, "Oh no, I didn't get it straight. Wait, I'll get it. Wait, no, a little bit here, a little bit." And it's a muscle, so it keeps pulling, and it's going to go out of alignment again. So I don't know. I think at least you should really, really inform yourself and ask the doctors what are the probabilities of recuperating binocular vision? What are the probabilities of needing another surgery? So they should like give all the information so you're not like, oh, I'll just do the surgery and it'll be okay. Because so many times it's just not okay. And it's a very unpleasant thing for a very small child. And as Susan Berry says in her book, and has been proven by many, many cases, it's just not true. There is no age limit to recuperating binocularities. There's just no age limit.
Yeah, she did it in her 50s and she was told she's a neurobiologist, I think. I can't remember
Yes,
exactly. I read that
she's
book
a
ages ago.
neurobiologist. It's a beautiful
Um,
book.
Yeah, and she talked about how she like studying the brain was like, this doesn't make sense that we have to do it before age 3. And then took her a year and prism glasses and vision therapy, and she eventually got 3D vision for the first time in her life. So I
Mm.
think you did point out that sometimes, because I've also have seen people where the squint was so extreme that sometimes when you combine the surgery with either vision therapy or what we are doing there, working with a vision holistic or natural vision coach so that you can align and maybe doing some of the emotional work, which could be right important, that sometimes that could be a great approach, but just doing the surgery without anything else. I have not seen anybody where it lasted. It eventually went back to like needing another surgery, another surgery. So I think it's really important to I don't know what your thoughts on this, but it's like you can hear a lot of conflicting information, and it doesn't matter if it's you or especially your child, right? As a mother, we feel so responsible for everything. We want to protect our children from everything. We really want to do the best we can, and it's sometimes really challenging to like navigate this advice that you get from all different sides. Do you have any tips for parents in terms of what do you recommend for a parent who's coming, who has learned or seen in the eyes of their child that something isn't right? Any kind of approach that you recommend for parents to do or to undertake?
Well, I actually recommend the parents themselves to do some emotional work on that.
Hmm.
Um, I work with Anat Axelrod's conversation with the eyes method, and in her experience, many children who have a squint or who have like imbalance, just the imbalance disappears when the parents work on their emotional problems.
Mhm. Yeah.
So doing the emotional work is so important because when children have this, it's usually part of the family system. It's part of the family that creates this rejection of part of them and makes this eye turn away. So in many cases, the parents dealing with their own issues and even like issues around the eye. So what does it mean to you that your child is squinting? What does it mean to you that their eye is turning? What do you feel? Do you feel they're ugly? Do you feel they're broken? That's legitimate to feel it, but do you feel that if they could only have like their eyes straight, they would have a better life? There's a lot of emotions the parents have about this eyesight problem, and it's really interesting to go into it. And when they work through these emotions, they can, you know, take a better decision from a calmer place, even if it doesn't directly help. So I think it's interesting. I mean, sometimes I meet adults that had all the patching thing, and they have traumas, and they sometimes hate their eye, and they really resent their parents doing this. And their parents really tried to help them. The parents really wanted what's best for them in a way, but a lot of times this best thing um, is kind of trying to alleviate something of what the parents feel, that if they look at their child and they're like, oh, they're horrible with this turning eye. I don't think children with a turning eye are horrible. It's
I
just
know
like,
it's tough because when my daughter was born, same thing, convergent squint in the right eye, just like I did. And it wasn't always there, but it would show up. And of course, everybody, including my parents, everybody pointed this out to me. Having gone through this traumatic experience, being bullied and teased and wearing glasses since the age of 3, I was like, no way, my daughter is gonna go. So I took her to the pediatrician. We did all the other things, but I didn't take her to an eye doctor. I think she was 8 years old. I took her to a pediatric ophthalmologist because she wasn't really reading. I was like, okay, maybe it's time to do that. I felt really bad because my other daughter was younger and already reading, and everybody at that age had read Harry Potter and all this stuff. So the doctor examined her. I was an ophthalmologist, and they said, well, she has perfect 20/20 vision, so she can see. And it's so weird because right after that, she started reading. It's almost like because she wanted glasses back then. A friend, couple of kids in the classroom had glasses, and as a kid, you want the braces, you want the cast on your leg or your arm because you want
the
to
cast,
you
yeah.
want to get all the attention that the kid that had those things get.
I have,
So
I have a recommendation for that. I have a recommendation for that.
yes, okay, go ahead.
If your child wants glasses, get them glasses. But just like just the frame, or just a frame with a zero number with nothing.
I'll
They'll
just
play
say,
with
yeah,
it.
the decorative ones. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they'll play with it for a bit and then they'll get bored and they'll toss it. I've never seen a child with fake glasses get hooked on the glasses. But if the child really wants glasses and you're saying like, no, 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 you're not getting any glasses, your vision is good, da, 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 they can strain enough to like, and I know of children who've done that, who've strained to get their glasses, and then it's harder to get out of
Right.
when you
That is so
actually need it.
fascinating.
So
Well,
I'm like all in favor. They want glasses, give them glasses, but as a toy, just,
I love that. As the funny story, so the story ends this way. So my daughter's vision is actually perfect. She's a cinematographer now, does a lot of focus pulling, and she has perfect vision. The younger one, who was reading really early on, that's another whole story, but developed myopia. I tried my best, but she was a teenager already, and so anyway, so now she's at she went from a -125 to minus, I think, 3 or something now. But the funny thing is, in the end, I was right by not having her do this stuff. But at the same time, it could have gone the other way. It's like it's really, as a parent, it's really hard to, like, I really want to acknowledge parents because you hear all kinds of things. So the teacher, the doctors, the grandparents, the whatever, and even when you're married, I worked with children, and sometimes the wife was like, "No glasses," and the husband was like, "Yeah, glasses," and that said, "Well, your daughter is 12 years old. How about we let her decide when she feels like when she rides a bike, maybe she needs the glasses, but when she plays with Barbies with her friends." Right. So give the child ownership over that. So, but I know as a parent, I just want to conclude with this because it is really not easy. And you just don't beat yourself up because also sometimes we try our best. We really try our best, and it's really challenging. That said, maybe trust your own inner gut and observe. I don't know if you would say this, observe your child, like be really
I would
curious.
say trust your instinct. Trust
Yeah.
your instinct.
Yeah.
That's like really big, because I have a lot of times mothers come to me and the father's like, the doctor said blah blah blah. And
Uh-huh.
then the mother's like looking at me, and I'll say it, do it playfully, do it gently, don't patch a lot of, and they'll be like, you're the first person who said that. That's what I feel. That's what I wanted to do. But the doctor said, and my husband said. So I mean, and a lot of it, and also fathers, you have like a sense of what's right for your child. And then, of course, you'll make mistakes. I'm still waiting to meet the perfect person whose parents did a perfect job and they're like perfect. That's just like not happening. So trust your child, relax, trust yourself. And then, just, yeah, don't, not, I mean, for me, none of it is a tragedy, except for like really, really extreme cases. I think having a squint is not a tragedy. Wearing glasses is not a tragedy. Not wearing glasses is not a tragedy. They're all there's these things are okay, Okay, so your child wears glasses, well, they're not a serial killer. Um, they don't have a terrible disease.
The attitude,
That's okay, you know?
the attitude
So
is important. Yeah.
so it's great to get out of glasses and to not need glasses. But if you need glasses or you use glasses sometimes, it's not a tragedy. So parents come and they're like, fix it, it's wrong. It's like, no, your child is perfect with glasses, with a squint, whatever. It's just not, for me, it's not so important. It's something that you can want to do, and it's something that you can do, but I think sometimes um parents think that if not, then something terrible, or if not, then they're not good parents, or they're not doing a good job. I don't know. I wore glasses for 30 years. I think my parents did a great job. They did the best job they could with the information they had. They took the decisions that were available, and that's it. I don't think I think sometimes when we discover that this is possible, we get all frantic that this you know, has to be solved. But just giving children the choice. For instance, I tell children a lot, use the glasses when you feel you need them. And they'll use
Exactly.
them for the blackboard, maybe, and maybe they won't use them ever. But we're like, no, 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 use the glasses. No, 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 don't use the glasses. No, right? Drive them crazy. Put on your glasses. Don't put on your glasses.
I love
So,
that. So really taking the pressure off, and as parents, if there is discord in the family, make sure especially if there's some kind of amblyopia or squint or some kind of issues with the eyes, look at that family, scenario and get on the same page. It's easier said than done. But well, thank you so much, Orit. This was a really great discussion. And I think as many times we realize that eyes are not just, that we can't just look at the eyeball. We have to really look at the whole person and even the relationships of that person and within the family to really understand more why an eye might turn or one eye becomes, gets like the double vision, the brain shuts one eye off, or why the eyes are misaligned. So thank you so much. This is
hey,
a
can I
book
can I
that,
say just like one
yes, of
last thing?
course.
Yeah. So we started by talking about the bad eye, the good eye, and all of that. And I want to show you the last image that came into the book kind of late. And it's this image where you see this is the girl who has the eye that turns, and this is Lucy, the girl who's kind of like innocent. And she asks the girl who has the squint, she asks, is it okay to look at your eye that turns? And and the answer is that you can look at the eye that turns if you do it in a loving way and if you ask for permission. And I think that a lot of times when the eye turns, the parents don't even want to look at this eye. They're like, no, no, no. So, and if we think about this as the part that we've rejected and that our parents have rejected, so we're rejecting it in a way again. And sometimes when you look at a person with a squint and you're like, can I look at your eye that's turning? And you look at that eye, it's really like an invitation for that eye to come out and to look at you back. It's like, I see you, I recognize you. It doesn't scare me that you're different. It doesn't scare me that you're looking away. I want to be in contact with you. And when parents do it, I think something wonderful happens. And when other children, I mean, children kind of naturally do it. They're like, oh, your eye's turning. And sometimes it's not a big deal for them. Um, but as adults, sometimes we're like, oh no, this thing that's like, don't look at the disabled person. Don't look at don't look at their legs. Don't look at their, and sometimes it's just okay to look if you do it in an accepting way. And that's what I wanted to say, that, you know, when we accept what's different and even what seems broken and not working, then that thing sometimes turns back to us and we can include it.
Well, thank you so much, Orit. We posted your website. What's the best way to contact you? Is it to go to your website, or what's the best way to find out more about your work and your books?
The books are available on Amazon, and that's the best way to get them because they're all over the world. I only send in Spain. So if you're in Spain, you can write to me and I'll send you the books. But the best way to buy them from wherever is Amazon. The books are called I See Clearly and I See Clearly with Two Eyes and Play Your Way to Better Eyesight. My website is iseeclearly.org, but as I said, I do not work with children. So there are a lot of wonderful visual educators who work with children. I write books. So I
I
do
love
work with
that.
adults. If you want to work with me as an adult, I do that, but I don't work with children. So
Well, that's a great place to get started if you are a parent, is to work on your own vision if you have any vision challenges. So yeah, I'm so glad you're writing these books so that we can help more people and have a bigger impact and more people learn about this wonderful modality. Well, thank you so much.
thank
It
you.
was an absolute pleasure having you here today. And so YouTube, we will say goodbye and we have our little backstage private Clear Vision Club community chat with Orit now. And then we will